Well, welcome. We are on the final leg of our flight around the United States. We are at this point over KAVX, Kilo Alpha Victor X-Ray, that is Avalon, Catalina Island. We are inbound to John Wayne Airport, where this trip started. I guess about, a week or 10 days ago. We left from here, went to Vegas, Salt Lake City, Albuquerque. Little detour up at Telluride, wanted to check that out. There's Catalina down there, if you see. Beautiful. Amazing. And then from Telluride to Austin, Austin to Shreveport, Shreveport to Baton Rouge, just to experience Hurricane Laura. I did not fly into the hurricane, but I did fly in its weather. And from there to Pensacola, then to Key West, then up to Savannah, from Savannah to Newport News, Virginia. From there to Ithaca, Ithaca over to Tower, Minnesota, a little tiny airport in the sticks I've been to in real life. Then a quick 60-mile flight down to Duluth, then a long 3.5-hour flight from Duluth to Boise, Boise to Medford, Medford to San Carlos yesterday. Had some weather issues, that is loading real-time weather. I could not get it to load real-time weather out of San Carlos, so I changed my departure airport to an airport just about maybe 4 or 5 miles south of San Carlos, Palo Alto, and it worked in that setting. So at this point we are headed from Palo Alto to John Wayne, Orange County, and almost at the end of our flight. I switched the graphic settings to Ultra. I know it was not recommended by Microsoft when I installed this, but I kind of wanted to just see how stuttery it got, so time will tell here. At this point, I haven't noticed any stuttering at all, but then again, it's not really having to do very much. So anybody who's ever flown into John Wayne, Orange County from the north knows that this is the approach. They come down mountains that are in between, west of the Central Valley and east of the Pacific Coast. Cross over Malibu, head out over towards the Pacific, towards Catalina Island, then hang a big left turn over Catalina into Orange County. So what you have in front of us is Orange County. A little curious about how Microsoft is rendering smoke, because what we have today is smoke. I mean, if you were to go outside in my backyard right now, the sky's orange. There's a thick layer of smoke. It's not clouds. It looks almost like a cloud cover, but it's not. So I wouldn't expect the weather engine on this sim to know how to render smoke necessarily, but that's what we have, smoke. Anyway, if you look on the screen, it's obviously very hazy. So I don't know, maybe that's how they're attempting to render it. Out here, this area right here is Palos Verdes. Long Beach here. This is a very congested area in terms of airports, so lots to be aware of. But we've loaded up the IFR flight plan here. We're flying right now on this leg between Catalina and our next waypoint, which is Albus. If you notice on the VFR map,
SoCal approach on 121.3.
Handed me off the SoCal approach.
Going to 121.3 Dare, Tree Whiskey Bravo.
From Albus, we'll go to SLI, which is Seal Beach, VOR.
SoCal approach Dare, November, Tree 43 Whiskey Bravo is out of 10,400 feet for 9,000 feet. Dare, November, Tree 43 Whiskey Bravo, SoCal approach, continue to Albus as planned. Altimeter 29.902.
And then we'll hang a big U-turn into John Wayne via Snake, Hookup, and Lemon. That's our final waypoints. The approach charts show that Snake we should be at 3,400. I live right about, look at, this is the Santa Ana River right here. I live right about here. And the reason I know that is because that's Irvine, that's Irvine Lake, I suspect. Anyway, I know that because these airplanes, these aircraft that are on final into John Wayne make this approach over my home. And they're, you know, probably 10 miles from John Wayne at that point, but I see them flying over. We've got a cool new app called Fore Flight, FOREFLIGHT, that I'm using on my phone.
Whiskey Bravo, descend and maintain 3,400 feet.
Down to 3,400.
Descend and maintain 3,400 feet, Dare Tree Whiskey Bravo.
So it's interesting. They're bringing me down to 3,400. I do not need to be at 3,400 for a while. I mean, that is the altitude I need to be at Snake, which is way the hell over here, and we're here. So I'm going to compensate for that by just descending slowly, because I don't need to be flying in over the coast at 3,400 feet. I mean, that would raise eyebrows. The aircraft that are inbound to John Wayne are not at that altitude. Anyway, this over here is Santiago Peak and Majeska Peak. This whole mountain range right here is the Santa Ana mountain range. Its peak is about 5,700 feet. This is the San Gabriel mountain range right here. This is all on fire right now, but it's not obviously, I don't obviously expect it to show giant mushroom cloud smoke plumes, which is what it looks like if you look outside right now.
Dare Tree Whiskey Bravo, please expedite your descent to 3,400 feet.
So I'm just going to ignore that because he's going to bitch and moan that I'm not descending quickly enough. I'm descending at 600 feet per minute, doing 163 knots, doing 192 knots across the ground. And I'm just telling you that I don't need to be at 3,400 yet. I don't need to be at SLI, which is our next waypoint, is still 10 miles away. And it does not make sense for me to descend that quickly. Anyway, out here, if you see that white dome right there, that's what's known as was known as the Spruce Goose. The Queen Mary's out there somewhere. I guess that's probably it. It's not really resolving it at this distance. If I were closer, it would. From this distance, it's plausibly a boat. If I zoom in on it, it just looks like a polygon. But I get it.
Bravo, please expedite your descent to 3,400
I know what they're
feet.
doing. So anyways, I was saying this is the San Gabriel mountain range out here, the San Bernardino Mountains out there in the distance. These mountains in the foreground are the Santa Ana mountain range. It's about a 400,000 acre national forest called the Cleveland National Forest. And this right here is Santiago Peak. This is Majeska Peak. It is a real feature in Orange County. Can't miss it. And I've actually run up that peak several times, probably, I don't know, 15, 20 times I've run up there. There's no way to get up there by road. You just have to hike it or run it, and it's a lot of fun. Enjoy it. It's a challenge, but it's a lot of fun. Depending on which trail you use, it's anywhere between 15 and 30 miles round trip. But I'm a little nuts, so I do runs like that.
Dare Tree Whiskey Bravo, please expedite your descent to 3,400 feet.
They're not happy with me, so I guess I'm just going to have to bite the bullet and fly lower than I know I need to. But this is the standard approach into John Wayne. We'll descend at 1,000 feet per minute right now. We're at 7,300. Airspeed's fine. It's now 3 miles from Seal Beach. So we're closing on Seal Beach pretty fast. Once we get to SLI, we'll start this right turn. I zoom out here on our MFD map, you'll see. KFUL is Fullerton. It's another airport, little municipal airport, not far from my home. So we'll overfly that before we make our big right turn to head towards runway 20 right at John Wayne. Showing about 9 minutes to final, to our destination. Pretty amazing. fly over these areas enough times in real life, you just get to know the freeways, different rivers, LA River, San Gabriel River. I gotta say, I'm wondering if Ultra is...
Dare Tree Whiskey Bravo, you are 12 miles northwest. Maintain present heading and altitude. Expect ILS runway 20 right approach via Sager transition. Cleared to Sager.
Read back.
Maintain present heading and altitude. Expect ILS runway 20 right approach via Sager transition. Cleared to Sager Dare Tree Whiskey Bravo.
So, still dealing with some of the issues when it comes to the AI and air traffic control. And technically, I do not need to go this far north. I don't need to go all the way to Fullerton. I've done this approach many times in real life, both in a real plane and in the sim. And they don't go this far north typically. So I could really, with this kind of weather, I could dump the IFR at this point. Just, I've already pre-programmed in the ILS, and you know what? What the hell? Let's do it. I'll not quite dump the autopilot, but I'm going to switch off of nav mode and switch over to heading. I'm going to sync the nav to our current heading and switch to heading mode, and we'll turn right. I have been cleared direct to Sager, so I can do this, but now it is time to increase our descent rate. Because remember, we want to be at 3,400 feet at Snake. And right now, we're fine. I mean, we're at 4,200 feet. We're going to be actually more than fine. So let's back off our descent rate at this point. Zoom out here just a little bit. See, there's Snake. So we're going to head towards Snake. Again, we've already been cleared for the approach, so... This is all pretty routine at this point. Santa Ana River out there. My home's out here in the hills somewhere. I know this is a retention basin. It's used by one of our local water districts to store water. Again, there's San Diego Peak out there in the distance. And this is a pretty customary approach that we would take in real life. And Ultra right now seems rock solid. I'm not seeing any problems in terms of stuttering. Anyway, I pre-programmed in the ILS frequency for runway 20 right. So once we line up, I'll activate that, switch from heading back over to nav, and then approach, and then we'll be on the glide slope. Yorba Linda out here to our left almost. The 57 freeway right here. Keep our right turn going. Boy, that is amazing quality. Parallel to Santa Ana River. Yeah, my house. We're actually probably going to fly right over my house with this approach I'm using. That's wild. So we'll make another right turn here, start closing in on Snake. So we're going to turn like this. Airspeed's good, 150. This app I'm using, Fore Flight, it, by some wizardry, is connected to the sim. And so I'm seeing where my plane is on the sim. I'm seeing it on my phone, which is pretty awesome. Yeah, I live in these hills out here. This is a pretty typical approach that they would take. I mean, I've again done this many times. I still think we're lower than we need to be. I mean, we don't have to be at 3,400 until we get to Snake. We've been at 3,400 now for, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes, so. But it is what it is. We're going to intercept Snake here. Getting ready to switch over to nav. We've got the ILS already pre-programmed, as I mentioned. This is actually more your Belinda. 91 freeways out here, goes out there to east to Corona, Riverside, and beyond. Want to intercept that approach path at about a 30-degree angle, so. Airspeed's still good. There's San Diego Peak. Again, getting closer to it.
Dare Tree Whiskey Bravo descend and maintain 2,800 feet.
Clearing us down to 2,800 feet.
Descend and maintain 2,800 feet. Dare Tree Whiskey Bravo.
Slow us down a little more. Again, intercept snake. We're doing great right now. Everything's fine. Yeah, we're literally. This is my house. Like somewhere in this group out here. This is where I live. So we're going to switch over to nav now. Nav. Whoops. Oh, sorry. Got to switch this to nav too. We're still on the FMS. That was my bad. Sorry. Okay, so now you see this switch from magenta to green. So that means we're no longer using. There's the airport right there. That means we're no longer using the GPS. We're using the ILS frequency. So I'm going to press APR to get on the approach. You see, here we are. That is perfect. Our glide slope, that GS glide slope is perfect. We're just a little under where we want to be, which is exactly what you like. Unbelievable. This is what it looks like. I can't tell you how much time I've spent out in these hills. There's Irvine Lake right there. All right, we are intercepting the glide slope right now and the localizer. Airport's going to be right in front of us. There it is. Time to turn on down our gear. This looks good. Okay. And as you see now, we are on final. There's the runway. There's 20 left. That's a GA runway. It's short. 20 right is also short. Actually, it's about.
Dare Tree Whiskey Bravo, you are 10 miles northeast of John Wayne. Contact John Wayne Tower on 128.35 when inbound.
All right, we'll switch over to John Wayne Tower at this
Tower
point.
on 128.35 Dare Tree Whiskey Bravo.
I can't tell you how many times I've made this approach in real life.
John
I mean,
Wayne
this
Tower
is what it's
Dare
like.
November Tree 4 Tree Whiskey Bravo.
This is North Tustin. It's called North Tustin.
Runway 20 right approach.
Dare November Tree 4 Tree Whiskey Bravo John Wayne Tower. Cleared ILS runway 20 right approach. Altimeter 29.9 to wind 212 at 5.
The altimeter's wrong. It's not
Cleared ILS
29.902. I just
runway 20
checked
right approach,
in
Dare
real life,
Tree
and
Whiskey
it's
Bravo.
like 29.72. But whatever. You do what they tell you, or you get the wrong altitude. Okay, so flap deployment, a little early, maybe, but I think we'll get in too much trouble on that. There's the runway right in front of us. They're all configured for landing. 3 in the green. Flaps. One more notch here. Airspeed's down to decreasing rapidly, so we want to be at about 85 knots when we land. So this little cluster of buildings out here is called Fashion Island. It's a beautiful area. Over here's Irvine Spectrum. Fashion Island's a shopping center, outdoor shopping center, really pretty, down in Newport Beach. This is the 55 freeway. This is wild. This is just exactly what it looks like. Okay, we're at 90 knots now, 89 knots. That's good.
Dare Tree Whiskey Bravo cleared to land runway 20 right. Wind 212 at 5.
Cleared to land runway 20 right Dare Tree Whiskey Bravo.
So we got confirmed wind. 212 at 5 is just exactly what you'd expect. Southwest, and the runway heading is 20, so that's pretty much how the wind is here. There's Catalina Island out there in the distance, which is what we were over 15 minutes ago. In the afternoons, our winds come normally from the coast. Sea breeze starts about 3 in the afternoon, but this is the general landing direction. Runway 20 is the left and right, or the general prevailing airport landing runways. Out here's the Tustin Used to be the Tucson Marine Corps Air Base. These blimp hangars are still there. They're built during World War II. Here's the 5 freeway, Interstate 5. Okay, enough tour guide. Airspeed's still good, 87. We're on 3 mile final for 20 right, according to my Fore Flight app, and I'm going to take the aircraft. Autopilot disengaged. Airspeed's good. Gear is down. For whatever reason, I often find myself on the left side of the airplane whenever I land at John Wayne in real life, and this is, I mean, I'm telling you, this is, that's it. That's what it looks like. You see, if you notice here, I'll try to zoom in this time, red and white, those are the Vossies. You don't use poppies apparently, they use Vossies, which guide you in. Airspeed's still good in terms of making sure you adhere to a 3-degree glide slope. It drifted there a little bit. It's too busy zooming in. I'm at 500 feet. Still on the right glide slope, still got red over white. $85 knots. The general aviation, there's general aviation on both the left and the right, but I suspect they're gonna take me to the left once I get down. We'll cross over one last freeway. All these buildings here on your left they're all correctly depicted. There's the 405 freeway on the left there, right up the nose. Airspeed's still good. See the 405, there's the middle marker indicator. There it is. I wish the 405 had that little traffic on it in real life at this time. Airspeed's still good. I'm not seeing much stuttering. It's not a big airport, I realize, but it's fantastic. Okay, throttle back, idle. Whoa. It's that oversensitive rudder again. Good. And that's that.
Dare Tree Whiskey Bravo turn, next taxiway.
Any preferences there? Yeah, as I suspected, they're going to take us left. The commercial airliners always go to the left after landing. The gates, terminal 1, 2, and 3, they're all off to the left. There we go. Hang it up
Dare
here.
Tree Whiskey Bravo, contact ground on 120.8.
120.8 for Dare Tree Whiskey Bravo.
Switch over to ground. Ground 120.8. Taxi to parking.
John Wayne ground Dare November Tree 43 Whiskey
Clean up the
Bravo
airplane
request
while we're
taxi
waiting.
to parking.
Dare November Tree 43 Whiskey Bravo taxi to General Aviation parking using taxiway Alpha.
Taxiing to General Aviation parking using taxiway Alpha Dare Tree Whiskey Bravo.
Alright. Park. This is, I feel like I'm home. So I'm about a 22-minute drive from, oh, more lights in the middle of the taxiway. God love you. I'm about a 22-minute drive from this airport. And again, I've flown out of it more times than I can count. You gotta love the lights, though, on the taxiway. It's kind of funny. I assume they'll fix that eventually. There's my... I don't know why they're making me go around like this, but I'm going to ignore them and actually just pull it in. Because why would I go all the way over there just to come back here? That guy better get out of the way. He's going to get clobbered. There we go. All right, parking brake. Had a interesting thing happen on this flight that I hadn't happened before with a differential pressure indicator came on, and I had to do some quick research to figure out that that was because I was climbing too fast. So, useful learning point. Don't need a AP trim on anymore. Fuel selector back to off. Get our lights. Taxi light off. Pulse light was already off. Nav, strobe. And fuel selector. And that is it. So, a little 26-minute video here, but fun to be able to complete my trip around the U.S. A lot of fun. Lots more flights to come, but it's been a hoot. So, that's it for now. Ciao.